Hi everybody, Bearded Rogue here, and I promised I would do a Gen Con haul video, so I'm going to. We're going to go through all the awesome and cool stuff that I got at Gen Con. I'm going to talk a little bit about each thing, and these are always the biggest videos that I do after a convention or my haul videos, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to show off is something that was given to the Renegade staff by Renegade and Oni Press in appreciation for our good work. And that's this gorgeous little print of Scott Pilgrim. I love the art style in this. I'm not a huge Scott Pilgrim fan, although this is a very, very, very cool thing to have, and I will be finding some way to try to give this a proper mounting and or hang it up someplace nice. I really appreciate it. The Oni Press crew was really fantastic the whole weekend long, making sure that we had everything we needed, and Scott Pilgrim obviously sold out, both the con exclusive and the standard, so they were very happy. We were very happy. It was a really good gesture on their part, and I really appreciate it. Next thing that I got was also a free item, and that's because I am a TMG newsletter subscriber, and they were doing a promotion where if people were to walk up and say Dargon is the gamer's champion at their booth, they would get a free copy of OkiDokie from Hasashi Hayashi. I figured, what have I got to lose? It looks like a pretty cool game. And his games in the past have all been pretty neat, so why not just give it a try? They were very, very generous. I didn't get to stop by until my lunch hour, and because I knew the secret words, they were still willing to hook me up with a copy, and I really, really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to giving this one a try. I think Tiffany and Steve on their live stream have played this one, so I'm interested to see what it's all about. Next, also from TMG for free, inside their bags they had these cool little first player markers with Dargon on the one side, promoting the TMG podcast that they've launched. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I'm going to be putting it into my rotation, and this is just a really cool little first player chit. Feels like a Splendor chip, weight-wise and sticker-wise, so I'm excited to go ahead and use this at some point. It'll probably end up in at least one prototype, so at a minimum, this free thing has saved me a little bit of money in components, and it's also, really good advertising. Like, who doesn't need a first player token sometime, and TMG Podcast on the back is great. Alright, so let's start getting into some other things here. We're going to save that for later. So first thing, Blue Happy Salmon. I know, some people do not understand my affection for Happy Salmon. I think those people may have some sort of condition that makes it so that they can't have fun. Obviously, it may be a condition that was brought on by serious circumstances, so I'm not going to make fun of it. But this game is pure, unadulterated fun, and I love it. And this is the special edition Blue Happy Salmon to go with the green one that I already have. It is 6 new sets of cards with its own colors, so you can mix it with the original Happy Salmon and play with up to 12 players. And 12-player Happy Salmon is about the craziest thing I can possibly think of. So why not, right? The wonderful people at the North Star booth made this possible. Ahead of the open of the hall, I was able to swing by with some cash and pick one up and put it in my pocket and carry it until I could drop it off at my hotel at lunch. So this was actually the first game of the convention that I bought on day 1, was my Blue Happy Salmon. Next, we're going to go ahead and cover some Renegade games. Here's Atlas, the Enchanted Lands. This is a very light little card game that has gorgeous art from Beth Sobel. I had to get this one because it's J. Alex Kevern, it's Beth Sobel, it's Renegade. I wanted to give it a try. It's very, very light. It's an extremely light game. It's kind of cool, though. It's got elements of betting and card play that are kind of neat, so I don't regret picking this one up. But know that this is a pretty light game, all things considered. Let's go ahead and go to the other one here. I mentioned the name J. Alex Kevern, so here's Sentient. And this is not light. I wouldn't call it heavy. I don't think it's a heavy game. Sorry, I'm just reboxing it because it was on upside down. I wouldn't call it a heavy game, but it is a bit of a mathy game at times. So it's definitely heavier than this, but same designer, gorgeous artwork. I picked it and it's playmat up because I love the artwork so much, and it's something unlike a lot of my other playmats, which tend to be darker, so I'm excited about that. I've seen Sentient played multiple times, so I knew that I was going to like it, and I am glad to be adding a copy to my collection. Let's see, next is, the playmat doesn't want to stay. Next is a reprint of a game that I really liked, and that's Celestia here. This is, from my understanding, a reprint and re-implementation of Cloud 9. I've been told that there are some differences, but I loved Cloud 9, and it is nowhere near as pretty as this one is. So I picked this one up used. I'm super excited to give it a try, and we'll see what I think of the new version as opposed to the older version, which I really liked. I like pressure luck games, so it's not a surprise. Let's see. One of the games of the convention that I had to go get was Codenames Duet. I knew that I wanted this game since I played it at Origins. I pre-ordered it. I just swung by the CGE booth and picked it up. It was no fuss, no pain, no anything. The easiest game that I picked up at the con was this. I just walked in and gave him my name and I was done. I did have to pay at the convention, but it was that simple. And I'm really excited to have it. I love Codenames. More cards for Codenames in and of itself is great, but a cooperative version of Codenames is fantastic. So having co-op Codenames that I can use all of my existing Codenames stuff for is just a great thing. And I'm really glad to be adding this one to my Codenames collection. Next is... Alright, let's keep going with expansions. Lanterns, the Emperor's Gifts expansion. I have Lanterns. I really like Lanterns. Finally picked up the expansion. It was kind of a no-brainer because it was there at the Renegade booth, and I figured, why the heck not? I really like Lanterns. Christopher Chung did a really good job with the base game. This one appears to be an expansion from Jason D. Kingsley, which excites me that it's... I tend to like games where designers have riffed off of other people's designs. I really like the Race for the Galaxy expansions for that reason. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this changes in Lanterns, because that's a game that deserves to get some more plays. Next, let's go to an older game that is not a reprint, but is mine, all mine now, and that is Concordia. This is a game that I've been hearing about pretty much non-stop since it came out. Nothing but good things. Everybody appears to like this game. I sat down next to Jamie Maltman at Origins this year while he was playing a big game of it, and he gave me a brief explanation of how everything works, and I had to have it, so now I have it. I could have picked up the Salsa expansion as well, but I figured I was already starting to get close to capacity on my suitcases as far as I knew, and capacity in my budget as far as I knew, so I just went ahead and picked up the base game, and if I really enjoy it, then I'll pick up the expansion as well. But I'm really glad to finally have a copy of Concordia in my collection, and looking forward to playing it. Ooh, cool. I didn't realize this was in the stack, but it makes me happy. Next thing that we're going to talk about is this little card here. This is the Planet Hope. It was a promo card for Weird Giraffe Games Stellar Leap, which is going to be coming up on Kickstarter. I played this game at Origins. I really enjoy this game. All of the planets are named after emotions and things of that nature, everything from indifference to misery. And this one's hope, and who doesn't need a little more hope in their life? So I'm really glad to pick this up. It'll be neat to add it to my collection once the Kickstarter funds and ships and all that other good stuff. But yeah, Weird Giraffe Games are some great people. I spent a lot of time with them, and I was really excited to pick up a promo. Up here, I'm not going to take it down because it's kind of wedged in here really good, but I got the Trade and Intrigue expansion for Orleans. You know, you can see Orleans right here with all of the invasion stuff crammed into it. Well, now I've got Trade and Intrigue as well. So my Orleans is nearly complete. I've also got promos 1, 2, 3, and 4 from Board Game Geek at Origins, so those are in there as well. So it's my deluxeified Orleans with both expansions and some promos and all that other good stuff. Big fan of Orleans, really like it. Next, I was wandering the hall on the last day, going from booth to booth, checking to see if there was anything that I couldn't live without. And I stopped for a minute to talk to Kyle Farron in the Vast booth about all the wonderful artwork that he's been doing, and stare at the gorgeous miniatures that are coming for Vast, which is right there. I missed. Right there is Vast. The miniatures, they had a painted set there. They are amazing looking. Obviously, mine will be unpainted and won't look as amazing, but the sculpts are just top notch. I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait to have it. But while I was there, I looked at the booth next door, and I saw something that I thought wasn't available anymore, and picked up my own copy, and that's Dragoon Gold Edition. For those who don't know, this is the deluxeified version of Dragoon, and unlike other deluxeified games which switch out their cardboard for wood, this one switches out its plastic for, that's right, you can hear it already, for metal. So here's a little metal Dragoon dragon, and here's like, I think this is its lair right here, and then all the little like castle pieces and stuff. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous production. All of the pieces are solid metal. They have a really nice heft to them. The board is a cloth board. It comes with very wonderful baggies to store everything in. And then on top of all of that, like with the metal pieces and the baggies and the cloth board, the inside of the box looks like something you would store like super expensive old school miniatures in, with all the foam and the little foam caps for the piece slots. Lay Waste Games did a really, really good job on this. I was sure that I had missed it after I had missed the Kickstarter, but they had a few copies there, so I couldn't pass it up. This one came highly recommended by so many people, so I absolutely had to have it. And I'm looking forward to giving this one a try, especially with all the gorgeous, gorgeous bits that are in here. So that's Dragoon. Next, I have one of the pieces of hotness of the convention, and that's Clank in Space. I only just recently got Clank. Part of me wishes I had held off, and part of me is glad I didn't, since I ended up helping to run multiple 24-person tournaments over the course of the weekend and demoing Clank. Knowing how to play it was fantastic. Clank in Space is, I think, an improvement on Clank in a lot of ways. Clank is not a bad game. Like, don't read improvement on Clank as Clank is a bad game. They're also not the same game. If I was going to introduce somebody who's brand new to gaming to deck building, pressure luck, dungeon crawlers, any of those three, Clank is a really solid choice. Clank in Space is a little bit more gamerly. It has a few more mechanisms to it. It has some things in there to mitigate the run in, grab the cheapest artifact you can, run out, make everybody's game to end early strategy that can be disruptive in Clank at times. And it's got a modular board, which you may or may not be able to see on the back. It's got factions that chain into each other. It's sci-fi, so it's got everything from Voltron to E.T. to Star Wars to Star Trek to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like, if it's the Terminator, or I should say the Exterminator, is in here. So many different references amongst the cards that I really, really enjoy just kind of flipping through the deck or seeing what comes up in the main row whenever the game starts. So Clank in Space, really glad I picked this up. It sold out completely at the con, which was expected. It was also Renegade's big secret game that was announced the day before the con, so it had a lot of buzz going in, and I was able to get a copy, and I'm very, very happy that I did, because I think I'm probably going to play this more with my gaming friends, but I think Clank is a great thing to have so that I can play it with some of the less gaming experienced people that I know. Plus, it's a fantasy theme. It's already got an expansion. It's a really fun game, and it's a little bit faster than Clank in Space as well. So let's cover some stuff that's not games here for just a second. So, one of the places that I had to stop by was Artist Alley this time. There were several artists that I got to meet and chill and eat dinner with at Origins, and I just kind of fell in love with the whole crew. So I had to stop by Artist Alley and say hi to everybody, but the one whose stuff I picked up this time, Origins, was a really Nolan Nasser focused con. This time Alan Panicle was my dude, and so I picked up this playmat here to match my gorgeous mouse pad. This is actually an edition of this print that no longer exists. It's slightly more green than purple, so this was a limited edition thing, and I had to pick that up. And then I picked up a pair of mouse pads from his universe that he is slowly unveiling over time. We have the Knight of Neptune and the Knight of Saturn, who are actually a item. This guy's so badass that he can fight without his head. I've been informed that he does have a head, it's just not located with his body, and that doesn't bother him too much. And then she is amazing. That rainbow bow is one of the coolest things I think I have ever seen. Alan refers to his art style as vector impressionism, and if you look at it, you can see all of the angles and sharp lines and bits and jagged edges that make up the outline of what he does. And I just think it is absolutely stunning, and I cannot wait until he starts doing more in the realm of board game art, because I want to play a game that looks like this. Take note, publishers. Put Alan's art on board games. It's amazing. And it's different, and it's unique, and it doesn't look like other board games, which will make me want it even more, because I'm starting to see a lot of board games that look very, very similar. So, in case you hadn't noticed, several of my artists that I would love to have illustrate some of my games are in this group of games, and this next one is no exception. This next one is the game that I had to have no matter what when I left Gen Con. I would have knifed someone to get a copy. Luckily, I was working for Renegade, and I was able to secure my copy early enough that it hadn't sold out. So nobody got knifed. Yay! That's the best scenario possible. Libris is a fantastic game that blends tableau building and worker placement in a way that is very intuitive and very easy to pick up. The scoring conditions for the game are right across the top of the center board, so you always have some idea of exactly what it is you should be focusing on, even if your focus wanders. The tableau building of the various bookshelves makes so much sense. Alphabetizing them, not making them too large. I demoed this game almost 8 demos a day for the whole convention. It's really good. I highly recommend it. The Renegade just knocked it out of the park. Like, Adam designed a fantastic game. Jackie Davis put some amazing artwork on it. Renegade made a very wonderful production. All of the bits on it are fantastic. I'm just gonna open it up here. Like, instead of including a score pad, they have a dry erase board that lurks like a little check sheet. It actually makes the math easier by having you count everything and then just referencing what you've already counted down here, so you don't have to count every time you go to do a mathematical operation. All the numbers are already counted and you just pull them for you. It also has a single player on the back that uses dry erase, which is just cool. The board is thick and gorgeous, and Jackie Davis art all over it, so you can't go wrong with that. The book cards are very, very easy to read and see. The icons at the top are all you actually need to play the game, and all of the wonderful illustrations of books with silly titles are just fantastic reading while you're playing the game, waiting for your turn. Each one is totally unique and hilarious. I think they did a phenomenal job on all of those aspects. The cards are sturdy, like Renegade does. The rooms are pretty thick cardboard and are perfect for the variable setups that exist in the game. There's only one minor issue I have with it, and that's that the text on the different locations that you can send your workers to is a little tiny. It's somewhat hard to read if you're far away. Obviously the person who's looking at it can read it pretty well. They did a decent job of trying to make it high contrast so that the text was at least on parts of the cards that don't obscure it. But it's really little font. So that's really my only complaint about the game. Period. Everything else in this game is perfect as far as I'm concerned. And once you've played it a couple times, or say run 32 demos of it over the course of a weekend, you kind of know what all of the rooms do anyway. And if that wasn't good enough, the inside of the book actually has explanations for every single room in the game, even the ones that are incredibly straightforward. The ones that you would think wouldn't need an explanation have an explanation. They're all in here. All of the individual libraries for the advanced version of the game, where everybody has asymmetrical player powers, those are all detailed in here and outlined as to what they can do. The rule book on this is fantastic. I occasionally had to look for things, but everything I could think of was in here. It's just really, really well done. I'm very, very happy to be adding it to my collection. I loved it at Origins, and I cannot wait to cannot wait to play my own copy here with my friends instead of demoing it for, you know, the 60,000 people or whatever at Gen Con. I'm going to give a shout out to Dustin Schwartz. I just realized looking through it that he did rulebook work on this, proofreading and editing. Dude, everybody should hire you because you do a fantastic job. This is one of the best rulebooks I have ever read, and I'm so very happy that a game that looks this good and plays this good got a rulebook that was this good. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about that. But that's my whole haul from Gen Con. That's everything that I got at the convention. All the expansions, old games, new games. It's a mix of a bit of everything. Intentionally so. There were some games that I was interested in, but I wrote off based on the schedule that I had for the convention. I wasn't going to try to get anything Fantasy Flight. I wasn't going to try to get anything at the Asmodee booth, period. Some of the other games really weren't just weren't going to happen realistically, so I didn't even bother. Some of my regrets, I didn't pick up anything from Restoration Games. Indulgence looks like it's right up my alley. I've heard nothing but good things about Downforce and Stop Thief, so I wanted to give those a try. I just didn't have time. The expansions for Catacombs, the dexterity dungeon crawling game, were both on my list, but by the time I made it to the booth, they were all sold out, so I wasn't able to get either of those. I really, really want it. I love Quan Chai's artwork for that whole series. That the whole 3rd edition Catacombs is gorgeous, and having even more amazing stuff for it is high on my list of desires. So those are still on my wish list. I just didn't get them at Gen Con. Let's see what else. There were lots of people I didn't get to see. Lots of places I wanted to go and check stuff out at. Some of the games that I really wanted to check out at Gen Con I ended up either playing or owning before Gen Con. Like my copy of Skyward is currently propping up my camera, or I would hold it up and show it to you. They did that game is really, really good, and I've already got a copy of it. Unearth was a pre-order, so didn't need to go by and pick it up. It was already there, so there's just so many great things that came out at this convention. I never got a copy of Saikatsu. I really wanted a copy of Saikatsu. I totally dropped the ball on making it to IDW's booth. I talked to people from IDW all weekend, especially since I worked with them at Origins and last year's Gen Con and the Origins last year, so I have a history with the IDW guys, and I just never made it by their booth. I saw them at Nerd Night, and I saw them in the hallway, but I never actually made it over to the booth, and it's one of my bigger regrets. Sorry, Isaac. Sorry, Matt. I will get a copy. It just didn't happen at Gen Con. It's a fantastic abstract game, and I cannot wait to play it. I didn't get a copy of Wasteland Express Delivery Service. I really, really regret that. That being said, I think everybody else in the world did, or at least all of the people that I hung out with. I got to watch a friend of mine from Cincinnati punch it, and that was basically his whole evening, was punching it all out, building all the game trays, putting everything where it needed to go. It was freaking beautiful when he was done with it. They played a game of it, and the designers were walking by and decided to jump in and assist with rules and everything. It was fantastic. Like, Pandasaurus Games did a fantastic job with it, like, really killer job with that game. John Gilmore, Pinchback and Riddle, all of you guys, like the designers, did a fantastic job with it. The art in it is unlike anything I've ever seen. The production values are off the charts. That's another game that I really wish I had picked up, but by the time I got to that side of the hall and was near enough to the booth to get it, my budget was gone. So, what you gonna do? There's only so much money in the world, unfortunately. But yeah, there's even more I could talk about, even more things that I really wanted to get and or see, to see if I wanted to get them, if you follow that. But I'm really happy with my Gen Con haul. all of the games are really good, really solid. All the publishers are really great people, and I feel really good supporting them. Yeah, it was a good Gen Con for my purchasing, even with the limited amounts of time I had in the hall since I was in the event area. I was able to get most of what I wanted, and some things that I didn't think were available to me anymore, like Dragoon. So, what can I say? It was a great haul. It was a great con. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any questions about any of the games or want to know my opinion about any of the games, feel free to ask in the comments. I want to talk about all of them more than I did in the video, especially Libris. I could probably talk about that game all day. And I could talk about the differences between Clank in Space and Clank if you're interested in that as well. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off because it's already, 30 minutes. I think all my other Gen Con coverage combined isn't as long as this video. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off there and talk to y'all tomorrow. Bearded Rogue, out.